During the slow morning commute to work the next morning, I pondered how I could save or make $100. I looked around at the people in the cars around me, all of us in our little boxed-in lives, listening to music, talk radio or an audiobook, calling friends and trying to make use of the time we were spending in the car, all just to get through the commute, all to make it bearable. All of us off to work, trying to afford our lives. How was I going to afford my future life? Clean out your underwear drawer. I knew this voice. Call it God, the authentic self, my imaginary friend, or the angel assigned to my case. It was the wise guy in my head who was constantly calm. His voice was mine, but also not mine. When my voice trembled, his was strong. When my thoughts were frantic, his were assured. In my mind's eye, he looked like Mr. Miyagi from The Karate Kid, an old Asian guy who said a lot with very few words. And his presence in my car that morning was so palpable that I could have reached over and tickled his knee. I have turned to Mr. Miyagi at times for assistance with my job. When I prayed for the next headline, I prayed to him. Sometimes I would write to him in my journal, and he would write back in my journal. And sometimes, if the deadline was looming, I would make my requests out loud. Please give me a headline. This was often followed by pretty please, pretty please, pretty please, which was often followed by I'll do whatever it takes, just give me the answer before the meeting, which was sometimes followed with a quiet or I'll be totally screwed. And finally, after a minute of silence, the headlines began to flow. At this point, if I didn't have my journal out, I would reach for a napkin or a receipt to write down the lines, or a coffee-stained pack of Post-it notes, the back of a magazine, or a paper grocery bag. I've even written headlines on the car insurance papers stored in the glove box. Seasoned copywriters will always have a good pen in the car, too. One with flow, like a uniball vision. When the ideas came, they came fast, so preparation was key. I spent a lot of time writing at stoplights, taking dictation from Mr. Miyagi. Was it God that wrote these headlines? Was it a genie? Was it just me? No. Yes. I don't know. On one morning, I was sitting at a light, writing a few lines on a napkin, when I looked over and saw John Hamm, the star of Mad Men, sitting in his car waiting at the light, too. He was likely on his way to the studio to play the part of someone like me. In that moment, I wanted to play anyone but me. I've often walked into the morning status meeting with a handful of inky Post-it notes and handed them over, stealth style, to my art director partner, the one who would later put the ideas into layouts. The project manager would ask where we were with the concepts for the next campaign. I'd confidently respond that the concepts were complete and just needed to go into layout. My partner would have looked at me bewildered, knowing that at the end of the previous day we had had nothing. On the way back to our offices, she would look down at the Post-it notes, which detailed the ad with headlines and layouts, and nod knowingly. My in-car copywriting with Mr. Miyagi was part of what made me a successful copywriter. I had made it. Making it happened after a series of awards, promotions, and bumps in pay. Once you really made it, you were middle management, and if you were middle management, you had to go to the 9 a.m. daily status meetings. The status meeting was filled with project managers, studio managers, and creative managers who had also made it. Headmistress led the status meeting. She was like a bossy babysitter. She was on task. She was on time. She was professional. I bet if she could do anything with her free time, she would go grocery shopping or organize things or boss other people around. Sanjay, the IT guy, unabashedly played games on his phone during the status meeting. That is, when he made it to the meeting at all. Squealing Liam was always in attendance. He and his perfect posture were always early. He always tattled on those who were late. He was the nice kid on the playground who even the nerds hated. I was one of the leaders of the creative department, which was filled with art directors who draw the pictures for the ads and copywriters who do the writing for the ads. Together, they would come up with the idea for